to throw this in here real quick. This kind of gives you the reason as to why I made this video. Um, Standing at HEB waiting for my wife, and I just kind of looked around to see what they're pushing on the magazine rack these days. And, it's 2020, okay? Check it. But we're still talking about Anne Frank. Who betrayed her? Finally, the truth revealed. New diary pages found. You gotta be fucking kidding me. Is that real? Why are we so stuck in the past on stuff like that? Her story's been told. If it's true, it's amazing. Let's move on, guys. Like, I don't even get it for real. That's just me personally. Just wanted to throw this out there. It kind of sparked the idea, but then not also. Also, I saw this one, the official collector's edition, John Wayne, Volume 33. 50 greatest characters, Duke's most iconic roles, ranked and rated, blah, blah, blah. Introduction by Ethan Wayne. Check it out, all right? Listen, these are not my types of movies. Many consider them classics. Apparently, whoever made this magazine believes this to be a collector's edition. It's fucking paper. He's not even a good actor. In fact, I don't know which movie it is, but he's like coming down off a ladder and drops his gun, bends down, picks it back up. Because I guess back then they didn't really probably have like a lot of money, or maybe they just didn't care, but they let that kind of shit go. I don't know. It's just people like thought he was a hard ass back in the days. Why are we still talking John Wayne in fucking in 2020? It's stupid. Lack of variety, stuck in the past. Let's just hit a few of them since I got such right dogs. What do they have to say about the dogs? Why we need them? Why they need us? Because motherfucker, companionship. Animals don't have hatred in their hearts whenever they are around a loving family. They love back. They are social creatures. Humans are definitely social creatures, and it's become a staple for people to kind of, we shouldn't even say the word own animals, but have animals in our family. Why we need them and why they need us? Well, it's a symbiotic relationship because they make us happy, and then we take care of them and we pet them like there's no tomorrow. But my primary reason really was because of the George Lucas and the making of Star Wars, how the Skywalker saga began. Like, dude, George Lucas sold that shit to Disney. Like, why the fuck are we talking? Why are we still talking about this? And the making of Star Wars, wasn't that like the 70s when that came out? Well, yeah, it was because I know they mentioned it on on that 70s show, so I know that George Lucas and the make. How? Why aren't you talking about George Lucas sold out the whole Star Wars, corporation or whatever? I mean, how about that as a story? The signs of success don't not look. Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, the official collector's edition. Anyway, just thought that was funny. Do I have another one? Yeah, this was from this morning at my local HEB. And I was just sitting there getting some cat food, and I was like, looking at this Rolling Stone, Bob Marley Special Collector's Edition. You see what's going on here? Not only are they trying to make you think that you're buying something that everyone else has access to at a grocery store, nonetheless, and they're calling it a special collector's edition. And I bet you anything, I didn't look at the price. I bet you it's fucking like over $10 for this. And it's, how can it be a special collector's edition? Wouldn't they have to only make a limited amount? And I'm sure it's in the thousands. I mean, at least in the thousands. But my point on this was, okay, like the ultimate guide to his music and legend. Look, there's Marleys out there still alive making music right now and stuff. Why aren't you focusing on them? Now, look, I know Bob Marley was a staple in the reggae, culture and community and the music, and we know this, dude, okay? But I'm not gonna lie to you. There are more Bob Marley songs that I do not like than I do like, and I like that style of reggae and stuff like that, but look, straight up, man, he's singing about some stuff and a culture I don't know much about, and other people can relate to more. But that's kind of like the people that say, "Oh yeah, I like Sublime," because it's like one of those things. Like if you like Sublime, you're looked at as cool because oh, you like that Jamaican sound, man. But they're white guys from California. But and I'm not saying like Sublime's got some good songs, but I'm not. They're not the best. I mean, anyway, what my point was is Bob Marley's kind of old news, guys. It's no offense to the man, obviously. I mean, for sure, respect for being a well-known musician with some good music, but they're just giving us the same old thing and stuff, and I just don't really get it. Here's a bunch of pictures and whatnot. It doesn't matter, but I just want to throw that out, and actually, you're going to be seeing it from this one here. So, just kind of a quick intro as to why, once again, I'm making this video. And this might not be the channel for you. It's a lot of talking, but you know what? You're inside Jason's mind. You're inside Jason's mind. I'm Jason. Time Magazine is what we're going to be talking about today. Why? Because I was standing in an HEB in Sinton, Texas, and I was like looking at the magazine rack while I was waiting on my wife and just looking at some of the garbage that they're still putting out, just like TV. This plays in a lot to lack of variety. Why is that important? Why is it important that I bring up lack of variety on the last video and this video? There's two examples I want to give you that'll help you understand where I'm coming from. The first one is, let's go with tomatoes. You start growing tomatoes from seed, and you have them in the real small little starter trays, right? And say you only move them to once they start to grow a little bit, they've gotten to be 3, 4, 5 inches. You move those and transplant them into a larger pot. That way, its roots can grow stronger and bigger, and the plant can grow, and so you can get your fruit, your tomatoes. But what happens if you only leave it in, say, let's say that small starter tray? It will eventually stall. It will never get any bigger. It won't grow. It doesn't have enough room or space to do so. So what you're doing is initially, you're starting off a living thing, and then you're stunting its growth. And then with tomato plants, because I've had a little experience, I mean, if you don't do it in the correct, I mean, you can kill them. You can kind of get it to where they don't have anywhere left to go with their root system. And so anyway, I'll move on. You'll see why that makes sense after I do this next one. Let's say you get a fish, and it can be, this could be a fish. Let's go with a fish. I'm not sure off the top of my head what type grows pretty large, and people also keep in aquariums at their home. But let's say you buy a fish, and you take it home. It's in the little bag, and you put it in, let's just say, a 5-gallon tank, something that something real small, pretty small. And that fish, over the next 3 to 6 months, it grows pretty big. And you're like, wow, look at that. It's really big. But if you only leave it in that 5-gallon aquarium, it will only grow as large as its environment will allow it. Meaning if it had potential to grow 5 times larger, you'd have to put it in a larger aquarium so it could grow to its full size potential, if you will, and what I'm about to tell you. And the reason I say that is with lack of variety, what they are doing, plain and simple. Let me just go and scroll so it's not so boring. You can get some look at some of the other time covers. But the lack of variety is important for one reason, is because it's the same thing with your brain, is when you only allow the same stuff in, meaning the same TV shows, the same 10 TV shows or 5 TV shows, the same 10 or 15 songs on the radio. It's everything's the same. Nothing's really changing a whole lot in the general sense. So your brain is only going to get as big as it can or grow and become more intelligent as much as society is really willing to let it. And we're in a time now where there's so much information around, but it's also at the same time a time of dumbing down, the population. And to do it is obviously it's through media, because the media lies. They have to make up and exaggerate stories or give false stories, half truths, what have you, just because it's more exciting to the people watching it. Um, we'll get to this last one because that's a damn joke, and I don't need to know that much about the Greta Thunberg. Don't need to know much. I know all I need to know about her, and she's an actor, just being put on a stage, so to speak. So you get what I'm saying is when you have less, there's less to talk about. There's less going on in the world, whenever all they put is a bunch of filler and dumb stuff. Don't believe me? Well, let's just go over and start talking about some things right now. Hopefully y'all stuck with me. I tend to just go off a little bit, but no big deal. We're not going to go too much into all of these, but I just want to point out some fun things on this one in particular. Time, January 14th, 2019. Gene editing, uterus transplants, three biological parents. I'm not a Christian, and the reason that's relevant is because most Christians, in my opinion, and the ones who believe that, certain things about our bodies and what we, their temples, and we shouldn't. I believe they're really pushing an agenda here, and it's really trying to further us from being away from nature. I mean, when you're doing gene editing, that's not natural. That's man-made. I mean, there is a natural process. I get no. There's well, I don't know. I don't know that there is. Uterus transplant sounds gross. I don't want to really get into that. Three biological parents. What do they call that? Polyanim poly There's something where it means there's more than one person or more than two people, there's multiple people in a relationship. Polyamory, I think, is what it is. Kind of reminds me of that. The future of babies. Now here's where it's funny to me. This boy is the first baby born in the US to a mother with a transplanted uterus. That looks like a goddamn illustration, number one. Okay, it doesn't even look like a real baby. Now, that could, I mean, if nothing else, I can guarantee you this. That's been edited to the T. I mean, to the gills. There's little to no realism in this whatsoever. I mean, I don't know, the shadow, everything about it just looks fake. How are you, this boy is the first baby born in the US to a mother with a transplanted uterus. It's a fucking cartoon. It's an illustration. Looks like it to me. That don't look like any photo, and I take pictures quite often. Not to say I'm a professional, but my God, my gut feeling and my eyes and senses tell me that's not real. Anyway, an experimental procedure could help more families have healthy babies, but it's not allowed in the US. That's strange because there's so much allowed in the US that um, it's insane to me. The FDA allows things in our food that you wouldn't fucking believe. You don't think so? You'll see there's silicones, and there's different types of silicones in processed chicken patties and nuggets and things like that they use as filler, and it's actually industrial strength silicone. That's something else you can look into for yourself, but I'm just putting it out there. Time, January 28th, 2019. It owns your data. It knows your friends. It has your credit cards. It hears your conversations. It follows you everywhere, and you can't go a day without it. Now, most of that's true. I go many, many days without it, but I still find that the only reason I keep Facebook is because I have a lot of saved videos and saved posts from channels that I like to follow, and it turns out to be, for me personally, it's a library of information. But I can go a day without it because I have more important shit to do. And also, I only have like one or two friends on Facebook, so the stuff I see is maybe 3 to 4 posts a day, and then I'm done. How long does that take? 5 seconds. I helped create this mess. Here's how to fix it. And I did want to just bring that up. I'm not going to go into this too much, but just to give you my 2 cents, really. And if you want to find this, I mean, you can go, follow time.com/volt/year/2019 backslash. Um, and you can check out everything in more detail. But I just think it's crazy because, whenever you sit there and you think about it and stuff, it's not fair, but at the same time, I don't know if they're justifying this kind of an issue that we're having with our privacy being just basically thrown to the side without care. And I'm not sure if it's related to the Patriot Act, which actually was probably also part of the plan with 9/11, more so than the oil in the Middle East and whatnot. I mean, there's so much to it, but as I think about it throughout the years, I really think it does have a lot to do with the Patriot Act, which takes away a lot, if not all, of our privacies that we thought we had, but probably still didn't. So I don't know. It's something to consider. If you're on Facebook a lot and you just you spend all of your free time, you're standing in line waiting for the bank or groceries and you're on Facebook, just reconsider. And I don't know, you'd be amazed at what you'll think of and your mind will come up with on its own, just when it has nothing to do. And sometimes, what's wrong with that? I like to space out. It's fun to me. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. And we're at March 4th, 2019. Knock, knock. Got a bunch of motherfuckers standing outside this window. Oh, the White House window, huh? And you can see we got the same look of what the baby looked like. I mean, this looks like the same type of illustration. Obviously, that's not all real people standing out. So I don't know. It doesn't matter, but it's just we're always being pushed. Trump this, Trump that, Trump this, Trump that, nonstop. Look, everyone's always going to have bad stuff to say about any president. There's going to be people who say, "Oh, when we had President Clinton, that was when the economy was the best." I hate to tell you, the president probably has little to nothing to fucking do with that. That's my opinion. And if you didn't know, no matter who you get, you're fucked. It's a catch-22 type of situation. Lose lose basically is what I mean by that. You can sit there and say I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, I'm an independent, I'm a liberal, and whatever else they've come up with now. Hate to tell you guys, it's just another way to divide our nation. Just like and some of you may not like this, but it's the truth, and you can't get mad at the truth even if you don't agree with it. I mean, I do that myself. I don't get mad at something that's true. If people say you're being a real asshole, well, thank you for pointing that out. I'll take it into consideration. But what I'm moving on to is religion also does the same thing. It divides us. Last time I looked into it, I think worldwide there's approximately 30 something thousand different denominations of was it just the fucking Christian religion? I don't know. Even if it was every religion in the world, don't you think 30,000 in the tens of thousands is a little bit too many religions? But anyway, we're not talking about religion on this too much. I just want to let you know is we're in a time of division as well. They're using the race card for every race there is, and here in just a little bit you'll see that the white folks here in America are the next target, and that's really going to push the race riots or the race wars, to a new heights, in my opinion. Let's move on because we're going to see a lot more Donald Trump. I mean, that's all they like to do. Look, she took the T off of time and she is just having a good laugh about it. She's loving it. I took the T, guys. Hello. Because you know what? That also means triumph, the triumph of Julia Louis Dreyfus. Um, 15 people changing comedy. Look, it's good to laugh. Okay, it's good to laugh. That supposedly, I don't know if there's any real research or proof, but laughing is supposed to help you live longer. So I'm not saying, guys, if something interests you, especially comedy, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I mean at the same time, like, you know what? Loved her in Seinfeld. She'll never top that. Saw her in that, something about there's a show, the old Christine or something. Not really. I mean, it's just a basic sitcom, not really anything to showcase her comedy. And then I'm not sure if she's moved on to something else. Long story short is it's not really that important. March 11th, 2019, for time to, come out with 15 people changing comedy. I guarantee you there's a lot more than 15. And if she's changing comedy, I mean, it's 2020. Even then 2019, she was famous in the 90s. You're keeping us held back in a 90s state of mind, and it's fucking 20, 30 years later. Look, she's had a successful career, it seems. That's great. All I'm saying is, does anyone really care? I don't. Let's move on. Time. Oh, there we go. Peach, do they dare? The Democrats will likely impeach. Plus, why that's a terrible idea. Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to talk about impeachment. The Democrats may not be able to resist it. I mean, look, plain and simple, they're talking about Trump. All right, there's one person in America with the power to make Donald Trump's impeachment happen, and she keeps insisting she's not interested. And that's Nancy Pelosi. Now, I don't keep up with politics, but I just, you'll see more towards the end of this video. Well, don't want to jump around. Let me finish this point and I'll show you. But it's just, we're getting back to the politics, and this is a good point my wife brought up. Is obviously, I don't even watch the news, and I'm not on Facebook for my daily news. I assure you that. But I even know about the coronavirus. It's becoming global, so they say. My wife pointed out, isn't it at a convenient time that this coronavirus started to hit during presidential election time? And I said, you know what? I'm very happy to hear you say that and bring it up, because not only is that the best fucking point that I've heard in a long time, but they do that all the time. Any major issues worldwide or anything that has to do with political policies or bills getting passed, they will create large potential false flag operations solely and purely to keep our minds occupied on that, so they can do whatever they want under our noses. That's my opinion. I'm entitled to it, and that's why I'm making this video. More, it's actually therapy for me. I just love to talk and don't find that people within my small circle really have the attention span to hear what I'm saying, because it's not, sorry about that, it's not in everyone's boathouse, this kind of stuff. So we're back, more Trump type bullshit. And look, I mean, boom, right to the very next issue. April 8th, 2019, just singing the Trump reboot, what we can all learn from this, and Barr's next move. I'm not sure who they're referring to, because, like I said, I don't keep up with politics. All right, sorry, I had to start over. Had a call come in that kind of interrupted me twice, but where I left off was, I just wanted to real briefly go over here is kind of what they got going on is, look, they got his stomach kind of sticking out, butt kind of sticking out, making him wider around this area. And like I was saying, I haven't seen a profile of him, meaning from his side, to really say if this is accurate or if it's a little bit satirical and they're just kind of exaggerating his body. But it's, once again, the point of the matter is the lack of variety. Is here we are again, Time Magazine, hello, 2 times already that year, and now we're on to fucking April 8th. You're already back on to Trump. Excuse me, I had to light real quick. This is very good, how Trump beat the Mueller investigation. Well, look, let me tell you one thing that is positive about Trump. You know what? The guy's a billionaire, and he was before he became president. So I'm pretty sure that he's not really gonna be swayed by money, because he's already rich. What are you gonna give a billionaire money wise that they don't already have? I mean, you're not gonna say, hey, I'll give you $100 million if you just, like, say this is a pharmaceutical company, Mr. Trump, we'll pay you $100 million if you just sign this bill. He's not probably going to fall for that because he doesn't need the money. I feel like that's an opinion. I mean, I think it may be a fact. I don't know. People do crazy shit for money, but not saying I trust the guy. But you never saw him come in any fucking one. You know what I mean? There's something to be said about that. Yeah. He's just another old white rich guy. Okay, well, fuck. I'm sorry to tell you that we're not. Just because I'm white doesn't mean that I'm wealthy and rich and all this stuff. I'm sorry that our country has been run by white people. Not my fault. You know, and just so y'all know, I mean, when we have the first woman president, which will inevitably happen, I mean, people are gonna talk shit about her. So just get ready. I mean, these people can't win. All right, let's move on. Joe Biden, are we doing that? The test case boundaries in the age of Trump. I think he's actually running for president, right? Joe Biden and the hard choices for Democrats in 2020. What is this shit? A presidential campaign would spotlight Biden's record on gender issues from the Anita Hill hearings in 91 to his introduction of the 1994 Violence Against Women Act to his tactile tendencies as in a 2012 campaign stop at a Seaman, Ohio diner. That's I'm obviously not the best at reading, but that was kind of a tongue twister for me. Especially the part about tactile tendencies. Never said that those two words in that order in my life. We we got to experience that together. That was the first. That was one of my firsts, and I'm 33 years old. That guy and that guy are like, bro, why is your hand on my woman? You know what I mean? They're not real happy about it. I don't know. Not really that fucking big of a deal. I just think it's funny. We got another. And then, look, I mean, look, and here's the proof. I mean, this motherfucker kind of resembles, I mean, it's like they're all from the same family, and it's fucking possible. This motherfucker reminds me of George Bush. Probably senior, a little more in the eyes, even though both the George Bush senior and junior both have kind of these same eyes, these little beady kind of like eyes, you know? But look at this shit. Of course, they photoshopped the fuck out of it. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But it's just funny. I mean, another old white guy who and look, as I'm just gonna move on while I continue talking because that's part of what this channel is. Is I mean, I know it may not be a bunch of colors and music and fucking dancing and like a rave or some shit on my video right now, but I mean, I'm trying to just basically hit you with what I think is kind of common sense type of thinking in a world where we're basically being fed fantasy-based realities every single day, and some people are open and wide for it too. Instead of saying, "Hey, what is this? Let me question things a little bit." Some people are just with open arms and just open and wide to be fed the garbage that they're feeding us, and they're happy to do so. I'm just trying to open up minds a little bit. I'm not trying to make you a different person, but maybe just start considering that there's more than what they're telling us on a lot of things. There we go. Really went off the beaten path. Don't mind that. Tends to happen with me. Let's move on to time and talk about the unraveling of Europe, April 22nd, 2019. How new leaders are uniting to divide the continent. How nationalists are joining together to tear Europe apart. I have not looked into this, and I'm not going to on this video. Once again, I've given you the website to go to. I'll put that in the link below, so that way, or the description below rather. That way, I can give you easy access to where I'm finding these covers. And I'm strictly using the covers as a conversation starter. I briefly looked over the ones that I have here today and stuff. But I mean, the unraveling of Europe, from what I hear on an economic level, is every country's economy is going to affect every other country's, or I guess let's just call it the world's economy. Um, but I don't know. I just feel like it's scare tactics and things like that. I mean, money's man-made, and we immediately every dollar comes with debt attached to it from the Federal Reserve, who actually is not a government agency or anything. It's a fucking like a corporation's company, and stuff. And now, how does that make sense that we pay taxes? Our hard-earned money goes to a government that fucking borrows made up money from a non-government agency. It just doesn't make sense from the start. So anyway, why are we on Europe? Doesn't matter. That maybe that's why I brought it up. It's just crazy. Now I want to point out. Let's go up here, and the reason I had it down here is because that shows me I wanted to read y'all something. But I'm gonna go ahead and scroll on up. Um, you can see that what we're talking about is the 100 most influential people. Okay. I keep getting phone calls, and I'm recording on my phone while using Bandicam to record my screen. Shout out Bandicam. You can download that stuff for free, but you can only record for 10 minutes at a time. I am not advertising for them and not making money. I'm just saying, like, if you want to do this, you can go to bandicam.com. I mean, it's on the front, on top of all of my fucking videos. And it's just a good way because it took me a while to figure out like how can I do this and do these kind of presentations for people. But I digress like I usually do. And let's start back from what I was getting at is, you can see it flashing. I think it's six, maybe different people. And let's just go ahead and move down. Let's move down a little further, and it gives it to you here. We got Taylor Swift, Dwayne Johnson, Sandra Oh, Gail King. Now, Gail King, I'm familiar with, and I'm not gonna say that she's not influential. I know that everyone started probably hearing about her from Oprah. That's when I did because my mom watched that show, and so did I growing up. And Oprah's been around forever. I mean, she's probably been now. I would imagine her to be a definitely influential person, but she's probably been on this list many times. Maybe she is on this list now. But the point is, Taylor Swift. Look, she writes her own music. I give her credit, right? That's a big deal because in any genre of music, a lot of people just they have songwriters or ghostwriters or whatever who will write their music and they're just performers. They just have a good voice, but are you really an artist, a music artist, when it comes to just being able to regurgitate what someone else wrote? I don't think so because it doesn't show creativity. Like Jason Aldean, first guy that comes to mind. I'm not saying he hasn't written some of his own songs, but from most of what I can see is there's about one or two people within the country music scene, which I don't listen to country music, but I know enough about it. And the songwriters are basically the same, handful of people. Maybe it is one or two that write most of the pop country that's on radio. Um, Long story short, she's been around for a while. That's cool. I'm not sure what she does with her money, but she doesn't seem to be, I don't know, influential, not sure. Dwayne Johnson, look, he was a wrestler. He was an entertainer. He has been for his whole career that I've known about him. He went on to acting and he was pretty decent at it. I'm not saying, obviously, we all know not the best actor, but, he's a fucking perfect character for, big action movies. I don't know what he's done to become influential. Same with Sandra Oh. I want to say she's an actress. Now, Gail King, like what we said, back to her. I know that her and Oprah definitely do some good things with their money. Um, I can't sit here and tell you a whole list because that's not what the video is about. Nancy Pelosi, I don't care. She's a politician. She's crooked. She's got power and she doesn't care if anyone knows that she will fucking use it. I mean, it's like one of those things, most cops with a badge, most, maybe I should say half, doesn't matter, but when you get in front of most of them, they've kind of got a chip on their shoulder like you're going to harm them in some kind of a way because they have that feeling and a badge and a gun. They kind of feel like they can do what they want. Example, I was fishing on the private pier the other day. Someone left the gate open, whatever. Game warden comes. Well, two game wardens come in the same vehicle. They walk on, and I'm like, fuck, dude. One of the first times in my life I don't have to worry about about a cop of some kind coming around because I didn't have anything on me and I had fishing licenses for me and my wife that were both current. It was fucking hilarious though because they came up and they just started opening our bags. They didn't say, hey, how are you doing today? We're going to take a look in your bags even if you don't like it. But it said they just started opening them. What did I do? Well, to make the process easier because I didn't have anything to worry about, I said, oh yeah, I guess go ahead and look through the bags. There's nothing in there. We had water and soda. They were looking to see if anyone caught fish. Anyway, most influential people is mostly just going to be famous people. And they don't give credit to a lot of the people they should. So, look, Warren Buffett praises the leadership of LeBron James, whom he met on a basketball court! Exclamation point. Does LeBron James do good for his community? Sure that he does. I'm sure he does. God damn though. I mean, there's other people in this world. I mean, let's just go with the U.S. that are more influential. There's people that have stories to tell that you've never met and heard of that will blow your mind. And people that I've met, via YouTube or Facebook that have, they do research for a hobby, and they bring forth information and things. If I had millions of dollars, I would go help people that I felt necessary, that needed the help. I'm not saying I would just blow all the money, but these people are getting too much credit, I think is what I'm getting at. Legendary chef Alice Waters recounts how rising food world star Samin Nosrat, I'm sorry if I'm butchering that, who began her career working for Waters, helped to show her how to cook with care. London mayor called New Zealand prime ministers. It just goes on, and it's Bill Gates. We got to talk Bill Gates. What he thinks definitely matters because he's got so much money. Oscar winner Regina King. I've heard the name, and I'm sure her face, but I just don't see why it's such a big deal that these people are influential. Guys, May 13th, 2019, the unlikely, untested, and unprecedented campaign of Mayor Pete. I'm not gonna be able to pronounce that. Buddy but either way, let's call him Pete B. Because my last name gets butchered often. I don't want to do that to him, so I apologize. Pete, first family. Anyway, you can see I've got nothing wrong because I could see from the very get go that these guys are obviously a couple. The Democratic presidential candidate, right, which would be Pete, I would imagine, and husband Chasten at their home in South Bend, Indiana. I would imagine that's the abbreviation. Um, I brought this up because as Pete B addressed supporters off a back porch in Marshalltown, Iowa, the devil was whispering his name. Pete, the devil hissed into a microphone. You're so smart, Pete. I'm just going to say, Pete ignored the heckler, plowing forward with his stump speech about American decency as his husband Chasten looked on. Pete, the devil whispered, I want the heartland, Pete. That sounds ridiculous, you see what I mean? The man in the devil costume was Randall Terry, an anti abortion activist. He had traveled to Iowa to torment the 37-year-old mayor of South Bend, Indiana, the early breakout star of the 2020 Democratic presidential primary. Is Do you consider that torment? Someone traveled to torment the 37-year-old, what I guess in a devil costume? That's not torment. I mean, the guy was obviously there to distract. That's not tormenting somebody. My God. And you're calling him it's childish. There's never been a poster boy for homosexuals before, Terry says, who's the devil in this case. There's never been a homosexual that you'd go, wow, I'd be proud of him. He's the guy. That's why he's such a threat. There's never been a homosexual that you'd go, wow, I'd be proud of him. He's the guy. That's why he's such a threat. Are they saying that Randall Terry is saying that this guy is a threat? I don't know. That's how I'm perceiving it. Why did I bring this article up? Just thought it was kind of ridiculous that the way they wrote it here, and then they use the words like torment. But it's only because it's pertaining to a homosexual couple who one of which is trying to run for president. Guys, I hate to tell you this, there's nothing wrong with it. You know what I'm saying? There is homosexuality in nature. I don't quote me because I heard this speech from Dr. Krauss. His first name's escaping me, but Dr. Krauss talks about a specific type of goat where there's a large percentage of the goats, male goats, who only have relationships with the other male goats, and I don't remember the exact species or whatever we're talking. But what I'm saying is, I am not homosexual. I'm married to a woman, but what I'm telling you is that they are definitely pushing the gay agenda and stuff these days. Just be who you are, and then you shouldn't have a problem. Because guess what? It's fucking 2020. It's not 1960. Well, that's not a good fucking example, is it? The 60s apparently was off the chain. It's not 1942 anymore. If you're gay, fucking be gay, dude. I bet this dude gets a lot of support, and I bet you he gets real close because there's a lot, since gay marriage was legalized, there's been a lot of support for the government, I would imagine, from that. Let's go ahead and end here, and then I'll be right back. All right, so moving on to May 20th, 2019. Time's got this for us is I have a plan for that Democrat. Elizabeth Warren is betting Americans on I'm sorry, is betting Americans are ready for her big ideas. You know, when I read that last night, well, let me just leave a picture of her up and stuff. So, Elizabeth Warren is betting Americans are ready for her big ideas. Let me tell you what, Elizabeth Warren, so is every other presidential candidate so is every other person running for mayor, city council, sheriff. I mean, any position there is to run for, everybody thinks that we're ready for their big ideas. Okay, here's the problem with anyone's big ideas. I'm not trying to be mean here, but I'm gonna pick on, so to speak, I guess, Elizabeth Warren, because it's on Time magazine and that's being pushed out to the public. So here's what big ideas are. Okay, they're exactly that. They're big ideas. They're probably more than anything pipe dreams that she wants to push on you and me and anyone else willing to hear it. Well, then I'm gonna have to take myself out of that equation because politics are a waste of time, and we do not have a choice. We are not a democracy in the sense that we are the one choosing our elected leaders. Because they have been chosen for us. They call them elected, but you don't have a choice. Anyway, back to this is they're all spouting these big ideas that sound so fucking sweet to our ears. Mmm. It's like candy to the ears. All right. It's if you can make sense of that, it just sounds so damn sweet. But when it's all said and done, what percentage of the promises that are made to us, and not just big ideas, but they're generally these big promises. What's the percentage of those that actually get fulfilled or even get remembered? Now, I know things take time and they're going to claim, well, she's taken over. If she was to win, she's got to fix Trump's bullshit first, and that might just take the whole first term. And then if she gets reelected, that's when we're really going to see those big ideas. Okay, but we're being sold on the big ideas now. I apologize. Let me move down some. Warren on the campaign trail on May 3rd in Iowa, where she's hired dozens of paid staff to compete in the first caucus state. You know, that the other thing is to consider too is that, I mean, these people are spending unheard of amounts of money, and it's not just one person; it's every person running is spending these just unbelievable amounts of money just so they can win, presidency. Um, and that's fucked up because, all the while, there's people like maybe you who's listening, for sure, me and my wife. We really, when I sit there and think about it, I live on a day to day or a check to check basis. And that's become the norm. Like they say, is there is no more middle class. And I mean, that may not be true, really. Maybe there's less than there was. I see a lot of middle class everywhere, neighborhood wise and things like that. That's not to say these people are living within their means, but let me go ahead and move on because it's getting boring on here. I'm just trying to finish my point. Is um, these people are able to just spend endless amounts of money and stuff. And people like us who are just out there trying to make 500 a week or something. Now I like to make 750 minimum, and even that's not the best money you can make, of course. But I try to shoot for 150 a day, and that's not asking too much. But I digress. Let's move on to this ridiculous stuff. Here is time May 17th. I'm sorry. May 27th, 2019, rather, is Next Generation Leaders, the teenager on strike for the planet, Greta Thunberg. Now, I know she got some fucking time. She got some press time. And I think that she shed some tears, and that makes for real good press because a little girl crying is to me is probably sadder than, well, it depends on the situation, but little kids crying is pretty sad. But you get a girl on there who seems real passionate about climate change and all this kind of stuff. And it changes people's mind because it plays on the emotions, it tugs at the heartstrings, and that's what they do because it softens you up and it makes you feel, you understand it. Oh man, I didn't realize this was such a crisis. It took a teenager named Greta Thunberg to let me know that spraying aerosol cans of Febreze is just breaking us apart at the seams, climate wise. I didn't, whatever. She's an actress, and she's been put forth. And I don't want to. This is because this is my channel, and we do. For the time being, live in America, where, well, I should say, for the time being, where freedom of speech is still allowed. Um, let's see if that's okay. I was kind of first, I came onto this and didn't even recognize who it was, and I thought, well, this is a little Spanish girl because of the dress. The reason I bring that up is because I live outside of San Antonio, and down there, downtown, kind of like by Mi Tierra, very well-known Mexican restaurant and stuff downtown San Antonio. They have areas like the Market Square, I think it's called, but they have a bunch of Hispanic women and girls at different times of the year. They come out and do dances, and they're real, a lot more colorful dresses. But it reminded me of that, and I was like, kind of passed it for a second, went back and went, what the fuck they got her dressed in? This is like some little like English or British girl or some shit. Maybe she's like Austrian, I don't know. And then like look at this photo op that they did, like they got this thing here and it's like, "Oh man, we got these concrete pillars because look, man, she's a pillar for, our planet." And so to show pillars in the background would be a double meaning, blah blah blah. Was she on strike for, or from rather? Has she stopped going to school? Because that's all I can think of that she might have done. Um, Shanghai Dragons. I didn't look any further into this, so I'm gonna go ahead and pass on it. Bernie Sanders building a better Bernie. This is June 17th in 2019. Who gives a fuck? Who cares, dude? On the road with a reboot Sanders campaign. Didn't you just mention a while ago something about a reboot with fucking Trump? I'm gonna find it real quick because I want it to be seen. Democrats will likely impeach. The Trump reboot. You see what I'm talking about? Now we got on the road with a rebooted Sanders campaign. Lack of variety. Y'all couldn't come up with something. I mean, goddamn, it's just like a couple months from the last one that you had the term reboot in. Building a better Bernie. I'm not getting off on this too much. I just kind of wanted to bring it up. Who cares? I mean, so far we got Trump. We got where was that? Joe Biden. And we got Bernie Sanders on the cover of Time. Who gives a shit? Boom. Why, like I said, lack of variety. July 1st, 2019. My whole life is a bet. Inside Trump's plan to keep the White House. My whole life is a bet. Inside President Trump's gamble on an untested re-election strategy. And that's, for the people involved with politics who think that it really does have a big effect and stuff, I assure you, it's just a show to keep you distracted because the people pulling the strings are not anyone that you or I know of. Am I going to sit there and say something about the Bilderbergs? I don't know because, I mean, I think it's possible, but at the same time, would we even know about would we even know about them if they really were the ones pulling the strings? I feel like they'd be a little more smart than that. They don't need to be out in the face of the public. Let's go on to July 29th, 2019, and you can see that the word time's cut off by this really badly drawn moon. We got an American, don't know why it can't say NASA on there. That's Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin, just in case you couldn't make that out because I just heard about it. As far as I know, everyone's allowed to go to space all of a sudden. SpaceX, they don't have and Blue Origin, they don't have I guess they don't claim U.S. or anything, even though it's Space Exploration Technologies, I think, doing business as SpaceX since 2002. Maybe I'm wrong on the year. The rest is accurate. And then we got Russia. Well, guess what? The next space race. I hate to tell you guys, for anyone who believes in the moon landing was real, but Russia was kicking our ass big time. I'll be right back. All right, we're back. Um, Not gonna go into too much on this. Dueling superpowers rival billionaires inside the new race to the moon. Will it be real? Absolutely not. No fucking way. There's so much I could go into here, but I'm just gonna make the couple of points that I wanted to. I know I'll catch flack on that, but I'm not starting a new video over. Uh First thing is used to be said that we couldn't pass through the Van Allen radiation belts. Yet when some of the astronauts who supposedly went to the moon, like Alan Bean, when he was interviewed by Bart Sabrell, he was asked many questions about going through the Van Allen belts, and said it did not have any effect on him. But actually, what he said before that was that he is not sure that they went out far enough to encounter the belts. Bart Sabrell goes on to tell him that they start at 1,000 miles and go out to, I think it was like 25,000 miles or something to that effect. He says, "Oh, well, then we went right through them, or we went right out through them," is what he said. And he said, "No effects or extra effects from the added radiations. No, nothing we could tell. Blah blah blah." I'm spitballing, but basically saying, And then when he tells the Alan Bean, let's go back up here. When he tells Alan Bean, well, it was reported by CNN, I believe. Don't quote me on the TV station, but it was reported by astronauts who had went higher than any other people in space. They went up to, I think it was around 360 miles. When their eyes were closed, they saw what looked like shooting stars with their eyes closed, and they are saying that that was because of there was so much radiation because of how far out they were from Earth's surface. And so back then, the Van Allen radiation belts were an issue. In fact, if you watch a video from NASA Johnson on YouTube, I think it's called. It has something to do with the something origins. Anyway, it's the probe that's supposed to go out and test. All of the things about the Van Allen belts before we can send man through that part of space. Now they're saying that I think that was maybe in 2016, but either way, it was very recent. If it's a problem now, how did they do it in 1969 through 72? That's a question you got to ask yourselves. And then now you've seen that the story has changed according to is it ESA, the European Space Agency? Now they're saying the moon's within Earth's atmosphere. Oh boy, well, how fucking convenient is that? I'll tell you why that's a problem. Number one, how the fuck's the story gonna change like that? Okay, well, that's for the younger population and the generation, not for you and me or the ones that are, like that already know the official story. They're changing the official story now. That's what they're doing. What it does, it justifies and gives us reasons of how they were able to do it then. Oh, well, of course it wasn't an issue back then because the moon's within the Van Allen radiation belt. It's within Earth's atmosphere. It's no problem. Why do they say there's no wind or atmosphere on the moon? If it's within our atmosphere, it must have a fucking atmosphere. That's the first problem. The second one is they're going to use it to tell us how they are going to make it back to the moon by 2024. Guys, it's not a problem. It's in our atmosphere. We have the technology. Before we thought it wasn't possible, but because we found a 20-year-old, document showing proof that actually this whole time, guys, how it's been in the moon's been in Earth's atmosphere. It's all bullshit, guys. They're changing the story now for the younger generation. We just have to sit there and deal with it because we don't control the press or what they put on TV, and most of us can't. So the general population, the general masses are just gonna eat that shit up. I've said my piece on that. Um, I think you can tell I'm feels pretty strongly about them lying and bullshitting us about space. We haven't even figured out all of Earth's problems, and y'all are gonna sit here and fill us with bullshit about places we can't, and you can't fucking go, and we can't go. Oh, it's 15, or it's, oh no, I'm sorry. The closest star is 20 something, 24 billion miles away. Man, how the fuck do you know that? That seems crazy to me. Unfathomable numbers they give us, and we're supposed to believe them. Anyway, moving on to August 5th, 2019. Kaboom, kaplow. Look at these explosions. The front runner, the freshman. Whose party is it? The answer will determine Trump's fate. Who gives a fuck? We're back to the same bullshit with politics. Non-stop, non-stop, non-stop. What do the Democrats stand for? Inside a fight over America's future. And everything's torn here because that's what they're wanting. I mean, they're putting it right in your face on everything. You can look at this as just some artistic, view on politics or these politicians and stuff like that. Division. You see how nothing's touching? It's all divided. It's torn apart. That's what they're doing with politics and race and wages. They're doing it with everything that you see on TV, and they play with they play the scare tactic game on a daily. The stock market and the Dow Jones and all that's lost the most points in history, blah blah blah. And guys, I'm gonna go ahead and make that the end of this video. I'm gonna lead you on to what we're gonna go with. Let's talk about Time, 2019 Time magazine covers, and we'll do a part two because I've gone on long enough, and this is actually really going to push into some shit that most people don't want to talk about. Doesn't matter, needs to be talked about, and I'm actually going to blow this thing up, and it's to the point where you can't really deny that it's false flag operations in order to get our guns from us. And just remember, I mean, we're supposed to be the ones that the government is afraid of, not the other way around. And they're sitting here trying to take anything and everything from us. If you're a felon, you don't get to have a gun. Sorry, you don't get to protect yourself. But if you hit someone with a fucking bat, I'll bet you money they put your ass in prison for fucking assault with a deadly weapon. Hey, they broke into my house. They, tried to hurt me and my family, and I hit them with a bat. I'm not allowed to have a gun. Oh, well, you're still going to prison. Well, I'll bet that's the fucking case because you can't, there's no such thing as self-defense anymore unless you're a cop. Then you can do whatever the fuck you want to. But we're going to blow this El Paso shooting out of the water. And if you think I'm full of it, you tell me why politicians are on TV laughing after they mention the El Paso shooting. Not crying, laughing. And I'll show that clip. Thanks for watching. You're inside Jason's mind.